commanded not to be done, and shall do any one of them. So very simply, there's a listing of the types of unintentional transgressions. Again, it takes us back to, do not eat the swine because it is tameh to you. If I am aware of what I consume, if any of it encapsulates a lack of morals, a lack of ethics, or a lack of truth, then I'm going to find myself transgressing unintentionally. Does that make sense? If I'm consuming things that lack ethics, morals, or truth, then I have a tendency to transgress because I've consumed that. The dietary laws become very relevant in this case. Okay? So, verse 3 says, if the priest, the Cohen, transgresses, Cohen, aside from priest, also means the one who teaches, leads, and ministers. This is naturally the one that absolutely must be or become aware of his or her own transgression. False teaching, deceptive leadership, neglectful caring must be recognized by the individual that introduces these to those whom Elohim has placed in his or her care. Who is the Kohanim? Well, it's only the pastor. Only the pastor can be the Kohanim. He's responsible for everything because he ministers to all of us. It's his church. No, we are all Kohanim. We all run across people whom Elohim has entrusted to us. And if we consider this, then we must be aware of how we treat or minister to or treat or love other people. Okay? 1 Timothy 1, 6-7 says, from which some, having swerved, have turned aside into vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the oral law, understanding neither what they say nor what they affirm. Okay? What does that mean? I want to... Oh, okay, you're not going to strangle her. Okay, good. Whew. What does that mean? I'm going to teach you my own personal perspective on what it says, and I'm going to rearrange it to make it work to satisfy you, as opposed to telling you exactly what it says, and if you're offended, you're offended. You know, I ask my young people all the time, what happens when you get offended? And they've learned. Nothing. Nothing happens when you get offended. You don't wake up the next day with leprosy. Okay? So, but it has a lot more to say than that. I'm going to go over to 1 Timothy right quick. 1 Timothy 6 and 7. Is it 1 Timothy? 1 Timothy 1. Okay. Which some, having missed, turned aside to senseless talk, wanting to be teachers of Torah, understanding neither what they say nor concerning what they strongly affirm. Okay? And we know that the Torah is good if one uses it legitimately. Okay? I cannot use the Bible out of context to help someone. I have to use it the way it's intended to be used. And if it happens to hurt someone's feelings in the process of ministering to them, then they learn. I have a dear friend. He's been my friend for 46 years now. He's not a yes man. He's in that very, very, very tight. He's going to tell me exactly the way it is, and he's not going to spare my feelings, and he's not going to pull any punches. And that's the type of person that we need to be. But we don't want to be that type of person because we don't hurt people's feelings. We might offend them. Yeah. But, all right, 2 Timothy 4, 3-4. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itchy ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and they shall be turned into fables. Okay? People don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear what feels good. I don't want to hear the truth. I want to know what feels good to me. You know, lie to me. I'm good with that. Make me feel good instead of telling me the way it is. And then I move forward and I trip over my own feet and I run into brick walls, right? So although Paul is talking about intentional distortions of the Torah and the Bezorah, we have to understand that just as much damage can be done out of ignorance. Teachers have to take care to teach sound doctrine according to the Torah and based on Yahuwah. Consider Jacob's words concerning teachers that carelessly mislead. Yaakov 3:1, that's James in King Jimmy. My brethren, be not many teachers, knowing that we shall receive a greater condemnation. Okay? So those poor teachers, because we're not teachers, all those poor teachers that are set aside, that teach, boy, they got it rough. The fact is, though, we are all teachers. We're all leaders. We're all ministers at one point or another. And as such, we are all going to be held to a greater accountability. Okay? If I have a relationship with my Elohim, if I am aware that He's present in my life, and I am aware that He is aware of me, if I'm walking with a renewed spirit, a right spirit, if I am walking in a restored state of being, then I have a responsibility to love my neighbor as myself. Okay? All right. Verse 13 says, if the whole congregation of Israel sinned through ignorance, so to believe the false teaching of a misinformed teacher is to follow in ignorance. Yeah, this isn't a religious idea. Okay? We can put it off on congregational doctrine and keep it in church. But then we fail to understand the very important concept that our relationship with Yahuwah Elohim is not relegated to an hour here and then an hour here. Okay? The relationship with my Elohim is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week thing. It's not something that I go to and listen to somebody bump their gums for an hour, hoping that he hurries because the line at Applebee's is going to be long. The Cowboys are playing. Well, then I don't have to go at all. And there might be something really good, you know, Tuesday night. So, but anyway, get off the soapbox. Anyway, I listen to somebody who is, you know, and then I listen to some doctrine that isn't correct. But this isn't a religious thing. Every day we listen to doctrine. We listen to teaching. We listen to news that sways us one way or sways us another way. I don't know if all of you were here when I drew two circles on the board and told you that one was larger than the other one. Could you tell me which one it was? And some people said this one, and some people said this one. And the reality was they were both the same size. Okay? I can misinform you, and then you base your opinion, you base your analysis on that misinformation. So the whole congregation of Israel sins through ignorance. We, recognizing that we were or even are ignorant of the Torah when a truth is revealed is the first step. And it doesn't even have to be Torah. Recognizing that we are misinformed has to be the first step to changing. And then making teshuvah. Again, making teshuvah is not a religious idea. Making teshuvah is to turn away from doing something that is harmful to me or harmful to someone else and walking in the right direction. This is a choice, and it's often difficult and very uncomfortable one to make. We can either say that in our lives Elohim prevails, or we can know truth and ignorance is causing us to constantly wrestle against Elohim. Verse 22 says, when a ruler has sinned and has only slightly transgressed the commandments of Yahweh, he is guilty of transgression. It's people that are in charge, they're okay because they will only slightly transgress. The rest of us, we just transgress the whole way. Okay, when a ruler has sinned and has only slightly transgressed the commandment of Elohim, he's guilty of transgression. No one has the privilege of not keeping the Torah of Elohim, not even slightly, because especially those who are in leadership roles. What is a leadership role? That's another question. Okay? We say, oh, well, we have these people that are in charge of this and these people that are in charge of that. Okay? Well, if we've appointed people to be in charge of this or in charge of that, then they have to be walking where they're walking, or walking in the right way. But we are all in charge of something at some point. Not necessarily within the congregation, but some point in our lives. We are all the CEO of the life that we have been given. How's that? Okay. Verse 27 says that if any of the common people transgress the Torah slightly, then they are guilty. This has to be understood. Neither the ruler or the common person can pick and choose. Transgression is transgression. And without acknowledgement, it becomes sin. I cannot pick and choose what's right and what's wrong. Wrong is going to be wrong. Right is going to be right. If I call what is evil good and what is good evil, that is blasphemy. Okay? And Yahusha says this is something that cannot be forgiven. So I have to understand why I believe what I believe. And if what I believe is wrong, I need to make teshuvah and fix it. Okay? This is all about rebuilding that relationship with Yahuwah Elohim, acknowledging Elohim in our lives, and then being willing to enter into it spiritually and physically and renew a right spirit within myself. Okay? Chapter 5:1 says, and if anyone sin in that he hears the voice of an oath, he being a witness, whether he has seen or known, if he does not make it known, then he shall bear his iniquity. In its simplest form, if you are aware of another's transgression and don't say anything, you are as guilty as the other of that transgression. We have to be responsible for one another. Only in this can we love our neighbor as ourselves. If he or she won't listen, it's not because you didn't try to open his or her eyes. Their sin is now totally theirs and not yours to bear. Okay? This goes to me, for me, being up here bumping my gums. I've told you, I'm not the guru. I see it, I understand it from a perspective, and I present it to you. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to look at it. And the greatest thing that you can do for me is I look at it and I say, whoops, he didn't look at this from maybe the right point of view, and come to me and say, hey, I don't think you got this part right. That's a wonderful thing to me, because I can look at it and I say, oh, well, this is what I meant, or we're looking at it from the same point of view, or I can say, oops, you're absolutely right, and then I can make teshuvah and I can fix it. Okay? No one person can ever have all the answers and be 100% right about everything all the time. Okay? We can try. And we can try to be as correct as we can. But ultimately, I'm not responsible for Ed. Ed isn't responsible for me. I'm responsible for me. Ed is responsible for Ed. And if Ed is getting something that is not correct, then it's Ed's responsibility to look at it and say, this isn't right. Then take it to Michael and say, it's not right. Then Michael has to say, you're right. Oops. And then fix it. So the remedy for all of these is the same thing, and it takes us back to the first part of our study. We are to bring you and the animal side before the tent of meeting and give it totally over to Yahuwah Elohim. We have to be willing to give our physical and spiritual selves over to Elohim. The priests already put the blood on the horns for the altar for you. Yahusha made teshuvah possible and paid the blood price so that we could once again approach our Elohim directly. We have to honor that by seeking to worship the Father in spirit and in His truth. Vayikra means the call, and it is Yahuwah that is calling us back to Him. Does Elohim prevail in your life, or are you wrestling against Him? Are you ready to draw near to Him? Do you really want to renew a right spirit within yourself? So there is a lesson on Vayikra. And grooviness has been achieved.